you share this with your friends and your family and your network, because it's so important. You know, I do this because not only is knowledge power, but wealth is power. With everything that's going on in today's current political climate, and the only way that discrimination works, the only way that racism works, the only way that all of these things work is if you have no power, is if you're powerless, right? So if you have no power, then of course, you know, you can be a victim. But if you have power, and I'm telling you, money, wealth, being in position, that's power. So if you have the knowledge in order to be able to get in position, then you cannot be a victim. It is going to be impossible for you to be a victim, and that's the reason why I do this. So we got these idiots out there that are supposed to be representing us in the world, and they don't represent us. But we have to represent ourselves, and we have to be able to call the shots. You know, if you're dependent upon the government, if you're dependent upon a job, if you're depending upon anything, then that gives somebody else power over your life. But if you have wealth, if you are calling your own shots, if you are making your own decisions, then nobody can stop you. There's nothing anybody can do in order to hold you back. That's why I'm here. I'm here simply to give you the knowledge so that you can get in position to start building wealth. Okay. So let's start with our questions. Number one, I heard that, and then we're going to talk about investing, because that's what I want to talk about today. So we're going to talk about how to start your investment portfolio, because we talk about credit, and we talk about leverage, and leverage is very important, using somebody else's money, right? Because wealthy people do not use their own money. Wealthy people use other people's money in order to get more wealth. So how do we start getting the wealth? Okay, credit is the first step. But then what's after that? What's after that is we got to start investing. So I'm talking about investing in stock. I invest in stock. I'm talking about investing in real estate. I'm talking about investing in your retirement. I'm talking about doing all these things to accumulate wealth right now so that you can enjoy life right now. One of the things, I was talking to someone over the weekend, and they were saying the goal is to get enough wealth so that you can retire. That's the end game. That's the end goal. No. I want to have enough wealth right now. I want to be able to enjoy life right now. I don't want to have to wait until I'm in my golden years to enjoy my money. I want to enjoy money now. So I want to build enough wealth so I can have money now, and then I want to have money when I'm ready to retire. That's what this is all about. So I heard that you can add someone to a credit card to help them with their credit score as an authorized user. Does this affect the account holder in any way if the person is added and never uses the card? So if you are added on as an authorized user to a credit card, no, that does not affect the person that you are, the card holder. The only way it'll affect the card holder is if they give you a copy of that card, or they give you the card, and then you start running it up. So I always talk about my daughter. She turned 18. I gave her a card. She became an authorized user on my card. And then she has an 815 credit score. It's great. So if you can add your kids on as an authorized user, add your kids on. I think it's absolutely a wonderful thing. But my daughter was not responsible. And so I said, baby, you about to go to college. You about to go to Virginia. Here's a card. It's for emergencies. And that little chick went and maxed out my card, and I had to uppercut her a few times, but she's okay now. She's recovered very nicely. No, but it only will affect the score of the card holder if they max it out, or if you max it out, but it will not drop their credit score at all. So if you are contemplating on adding someone as an authorized user, it's not a bad idea, because it's absolutely not going to hurt you. Okay, so if you have any questions on that, send them my way. How do I raise my credit score quickly? Oh, I bet that's a question that everybody has, right? If you got that question, how do I raise my credit score quickly? Give me a like or a love. Do you want to know how to raise your credit score quickly? Everybody wants to know how to raise. So just so you know, there's so many different ways, because your credit is like a jumbo of things, right? So there's so many different things that are affecting your credit score. It could be, you could have length of credit. You could have not enough credit, not enough length of credit. You could have not enough use of credit. You could have bad credit. You could have collections. You could have installment debt. There's so many things. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. So what we have to do is we have to look at your credit profile, right? And so one of the things that I do in my training program is I say, okay, here's how to look at your credit profile. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to look for. And based upon this, these are the things that you need to do. But just overall, in general, low utilization on your credit cards. So your credit limit is $1,000, keep your utilization at $300, no more than $500. Paying off old collections is not always good. Paying off old collections could actually drop your score, especially collections that have not reported in over 2 years. Paying your debt on time, that's 35% of the credit score. Tara, I'm going to answer that question. So thank you for, she said, how do business loans affect your credit score? So I'll answer that as well. So there's so many things that affect your credit score that, that it's just really hard to say that there's, surefire way. I will post the link. I do have a link that says, here's 7 ways to increase your credit score quickly, and I'll send that over. I'll put this on the link on both my business page and my personal page. But just because there's so many different variables that go into your credit score, the algorithms are different. The age, it's kind of complex. But there, again, the utilization is going to be a big thing. Credit cards are the holy grail of your credit. So if you're the credit pie is this, 35% is your payment history. So you paying on time, you paying your credit cards or your bills on time, that's going to affect your score 35%. You having a high utilization on your credit cards, that's going to be 30%. So how to do it quick? Pay your credit cards down. If you don't have credit cards, get credit cards. Okay, so those are ways that you can get your scores up very, 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 very quickly. All right, how long after I pay off my debt will it take for my credit to improve? And that's a good question too, because I don't know what kind of debt you're talking about. So if I give you a blanket statement, it may not really affect you, right? So do you have collections? Do you have just credit card debt? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a car loan? Do you have charge-offs? So it really depends. It only depends on the type of credit, but it depends on what else is on your credit report, right? So if, say, you have, I just seen a credit report that had everything was in collections. So they had no good current credit. But they had, everything was in the derogatory status. Even the car note was in derogatory status, right? So, but they hadn't been late in a year. And so their credit score was about 500, which to me, looking at it, for me, it should look like it should have been in the 400s based upon the credit profile because there was nothing good. The reason why it was actually in the 500s, which was high for that credit profile, because they were on time for the last year on that car note. But everything else was bad. Everything else was in collections. Everything else was negative. So that 500. So that 500. Somebody just texted me. So that 500 credit score. It was that improved their credit score because they had been good over the last year. Had they added a credit card to that, that would have definitely helped. They probably would have been somewhere in maybe the mid 500s or maybe even the high 500s. So the thing about it is, we got to figure out what is on your credit report before we can really determine how quickly it can raise your credit score. That's always hard. So I have to look at your credit report. Again, my training program, it shows you how to look at your credit report, and then it'll tell you kind of what you need to do in order to improve your score quickly. Can you give me a bit of info on Bitcoin? So does anybody know about Bitcoin? So Bitcoin is an electronic currency. And I've seen it a lot. In fact, I had a guy maybe last year who was one of the investors in Bitcoin, and he wanted to invest in some property in Stockton, in downtown Stockton. And he was an early investor, and he had a bunch of money because he had cashed out, and he just wanted to put his money in a vehicle that had a high capitalization rate. And if you didn't know, Stockton has some really good deals on commercial property, like downtown Stockton. Like if you're interested in getting into investing, and I'm going to talk about that afterwards, or getting into commercial investing, it's a gold mine. It's like 1849. What was the gold rush? I swear, Stockton, California is like the gold rush. So if you are interested in, getting into investing, but anyway, going back to Bitcoin, it's an electronic currency, and it's like $4,900, I believe, is per share. $4,900 per share. Bitcoin is $4,900 per share. So if you're interested in getting into Bitcoin, you're going to have to pay $4,900 for 1 share of stock. What I do is, like I will tell, if you haven't, if you hadn't been on my previous lives, I talked about my son investing. He invests in stock shares. I invest, or I do what's called day trading. Okay, so I invest in something. We purchase options on stock, and we can, depending on the direction of the stock is going, if we guess right, if we say that the stock is going to increase, then we make money. If we say it's going to increase and it ends up decreasing, then we lose money. If we say the stock is going to decrease and it increases, we lose money. So we're basically bidding based upon whatever the market is doing, and then we bid. We bid on the stock based upon that. And so when I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning, I'll see if I've won or if I've lost. And more than not, I've won. And so, you know, you can invest $200, you can invest $2,000, you can invest $5,000, you can invest $50,000 in day trading. But the cool thing about Bitcoin, about day trading, is because Bitcoin is so expensive to get into, you can invest in day trading in a stock like Bitcoin or even Tesla or even Google for a quarter of the amount and then make a good amount of money. So that's what I would do. So I don't know anything about investing on, you know, per share on Bitcoin. I know it's very expensive, but if you wanted to do some day trading, me and my partners, we do day trading, and it's been really lucrative for us, and we've been making some good money. So that's that question. The next question is, I just came into an inheritance, so at this point I'm ready to start looking and purchasing a home. But one problem, my credit is still in the process of being repaired. I have no problem with waiting on the process. I just want to make sure I do things smart, right, and kind of fast. So great. I think that's awesome. I don't know what kind of credit repair you're doing, but you know, if you're paying someone, you know, just kind of have an idea of what it is that they're doing. My bookkeeping score, what you need to know to make your credit score grow. There's a lot of tips and tricks and tools in there that you could pull from there to start your investment. Start your to understand credit repair. So if you're paying a third party to do your credit repair, you can have an idea if you read that book. It's what, $7.99 on Amazon. Very small investment into your future. There's a lot of things that you could do on your own. If you are doing some self credit repair, I would definitely recommend joining mywealthroadmap.com. That is our online training program. It's nice. It's 3 payments of $97, but it is a wealth of information. There's like 9 modules or 10 modules. There's like 20 something lessons, but each lesson is designed to really help you with your particular credit need. So we've been working on it for months, and I would definitely recommend that if you are not in some type of credit repair. A lot of this credit repair you could do yourself. The other thing with credit repair is there's some laws that have been put in place even as recently. One of the major credit repair companies was just sued because of what they're overpromising. They're telling you that they're making guarantees that they're not able to meet. They're charging upfront fees. So if you've paid an upfront fee for a credit repair, that's illegal. They're not allowed to charge you an upfront fee. So be very mindful and very careful if you are paying for credit repair that is being done within the letter of the law. There's nothing wrong with credit repair, but there's a lot of stuff that you can do yourself. A lot of times these credit repair companies, all they're doing is sending out dispute letters. If you want a dispute letter, pick up my book. I got a bunch of dispute letters in there, $7.99, right? But if you want a comprehensive training around credit, do my wealth roadmap training, build credit to build wealth, and that's on mywealthroadmap.com. Okay. Should I do a debt consolidation for my student loans and a car loan that was repossessed? They're majorly affecting my credit score. I deferred the payment, so it's showing current on my credit, but interest is rising every day, so that part continues to show on the credit. The payments are $200 a month, so I'm thinking maybe if I start making some type of payment and just pay it off slowly, or just get a business loan through Cabbage or somewhere to get off the credit score faster. So what I say to that, so Cabbage loans, and I don't know if you looked into Cabbage, because I've looked into Cabbage before, and the interest rates are relatively high. So be careful on the Cabbage loans, because those interest rates are very absorbent, And so you're going to end up paying more interest on a cabbage loan than you are on your student loan. What I say to that about the student loan piece is get on a reduced payment plan. I don't know if you know that Obama came out with a payment plan a couple of years ago. There are several payment plans on our website and in my training also, but on our website, catalystrealestate.com/student loan info. I have outlined all of the different student loan payment programs out there. So if you go there, I would recommend getting on that, because that's going to help you a lot more than, just like you said, being deferred. Your interest is increasing, not your interest rate, but your interest is increasing daily, rapidly. But if you get on some type of payment plan, you're actually cutting the interest rate. So I would recommend doing that for that. Cabbage loans, the rate's probably going to be higher, and you may end up paying more. As far as your car repossession, if you want to pay that off, if you want to be prudent, and if you need it in order to qualify for a home loan, what I recommend is doing a settlement. So if, and then when you do your settlement, I always recommend having a end game in mind, having an end goal in mind, right? So if your car, say you owe $10,000 on your car, you know that you are willing to pay $5,000. Start low. Start with something stupid. Start with like $500. Start with something very, very low, and then work your way up to that end goal, right? So be kind of realistic on when you're negotiating, but start really low, because at the end of the day, if you pay the entire thing off, it's going to affect the same on your score as if you had a settlement, okay? So it's not going to help your score anymore if you paid it off in its entirety. Okay, so I don't recommend paying off a $10,000 repossession if it's not gonna improve your score. Now, if it's a requirement for you to get a home loan, absolutely go ahead and do it. Okay, and then if I were to change my business to an LLC so that I can establish business credit, possibly to purchase a home, is my personal credit score going to play a part? That's a good question, because a lot of people ask about business credit and how that works. Okay, so business credit is great if you have an LLC, if you have a corp, an S corp, or any type of business. Establishing good business credit is very prudent. You should have good business credit, so you'll be able to get things. The thing about business credit is they often, more than not, most of the time, 99% of the time, require a personal guarantor. That's you. So even if you have good business credit, if your personal credit is jacked up, they're still going to be looking at you to be the personal guarantor. Okay, so just because, so a lot of people, and in the past it's worked before the market changed and there was a lot of fraud that was going on. A lot of people were, going stated, and they were using their business income and all of those things in order to qualify for a loan. Now the restrictions are so great that getting a business loan, if your personal loan, or excuse me, is having business credit, if your personal credit isn't great, it's really not going to help you a whole lot. Okay, so the other thing to consider when having business credit is, do you have business income? Okay, so yeah, I want to get my business credit together. I got my personal credit together, but do you have business income? Have you been filing taxes for the last 2 years? Do you have a profit and loss statement? Do you have a Schedule C? Okay, so it's not just about the business credit, it's about the business income. Okay, so that's something to consider. Now, if you want to get a loan, like a stated income loan, or you want to get a private investment loan or private money loan where your credit is not ridiculed, you can get that. You can get one with as probably low as 10% down, 20% down. They're not really looking at your credit score. Your interest rate is going to be anywhere between 9 and 13, 14%. So if you want to get into a home right now, you want to get a hard money loan or a private loan, you absolutely can. So your credit does not need to be in a position to where you have to